Of the Tapawera Historical Society. He's got a few words for us and he's going to read out the names of all the troopers from this area.
Thank you, Sarah. Very warm welcome to Kohatu, everyone. What a fantastic occasion. An incredible sight and a great atmosphere. Wasn't that just something to see? And we're only halfway. But certainly something for us to remember for the rest of our lives. Before going any further, I would very much like, on behalf of the Tapawera Historical Society, the old local families, the local riders, and everyone else who has come to see the ride, to thank the New Zealand Mounted Rifles Charitable Trust for coming all this way for this event. Also, at the risk of being accused of nepotism, I want to thank my eldest daughter, Sarah, for organising and funding this event. She wanted to do this in memory of her family members who served in World War I. Now, this is not going to be a long-winded effort. In a few moments I will read out the names of those from the greater Tapawera area who were involved with the mounted rifles. But firstly, I should perhaps say why I'm here today doing this job. First reason is that I was caught a little unawares when they were looking for a president of the Tapawera Historical Society, and mainly perhaps because I've been researching the personnel from this area who were involved in the First World War. I also had 7 first cousins once removed who went away from here, 2 of whom did not come back, and Sarah and I visited them last year. Rory at Gallipoli and Les at Plukstedt Wood near Messines in Belgium. Several families from here had from 4 to 10 members go away, and it is timely with the anniversary of the armistice in a few days' time to remember all of them and to recognise what they did for us. Rory has been a focal point for our family in both today's ride and also the armistice weekend celebrations. As soon as I've gone through the names of our mounted men, our next speaker, who is my second cousin, Carolyn, will focus on him. But a little bit of background first. So today is also about horses and their role in World War I, and it was in this war that it was realised that cavalry did not hold the usefulness of the past, and especially in Europe. After the Gallipoli campaign, the Auckland Mounted Rifles Regiment was sent to Europe as infantry, and the Wellington, Canterbury and Otago Mounted Regiments were separated from the main New Zealand forces in the reorganisation of early 1916. It was clear by this time that mounted riflemen had little value in the stationary trench warfare of the Western Front. So the 3 regiments were retained in the Middle East. There the war remained one of movement, with horsemen attacking each other over open ground. The 3 New Zealand regiments became part of the New Zealand and Australian Mounted Division, along with 3, later 2 Australian Mounted Brigades, 2 later 1 British Artillery Brigades and various support units. They were often described as the Anzac Mounted Division, and this had no connection with the Anzac Corps, which was now in France. The Australian and New Zealand Mounted Division served as part of the Egyptian Expeditionary Force, which fought Ottoman forces in the Sinai and Palestine. Turkish armistice was signed on the 30th of October 1918, but our soldiers were still carrying out patrols for some months after. Over 10,000 horses went overseas from New Zealand, and nearly 4,000 were draft and pack horses. 8,000 had gone to the Boer War. Now, it is said that 8 million horses died in World War I. Seems an awful lot. And all but 4 of the New Zealand horses did not return home. They were shot by their owners rather than let them fall into cruel hands. Around 100,000 of the British Army's nearly 400,000 horses in France were eventually repatriated to England in March 1919. And among them were 4 New Zealand horses. All 4 belonged to officers. Beauty to Captain Richard Rutherford. Bess to Captain Charles Guy Powles. Dolly to General Alexander Russell, and the 4th, a black horse, to Lieutenant Colonel Maurice King. And in this PC age, I cannot mention his name. So now I'm going to call out the names of those men, firstly who are in the mounted rifles from Kohatu and the Motopico Valley, which the memorial here at Kohatu represents, and then from the greater Tapawera area. Just their names rank valor medals and where they left from to go to the war. They were all associated with this area, even if they left from elsewhere. I've also included the handful who went to the South African War. Andy Anderson, Captain, Rainy River. Percy Andrews, Trooper, Veterinary Corps, Top House. Harry Arnold, Shoesmith Corporal, Mataki. Richard Arnold, Trooper, Mounted Rifles, Gun Squadron, Kariri. Rory Arnold, Lance Corporal, Kariri, killed in action. Hugh Berryman, Lieutenant, Rabbit Gully, just over the hill. Stan Berryman, Lieutenant, Rabbit Gully, killed in action. William Berryman, Captain, Oxford, died of wounds, Military Cross. Jack Clougher, Corporal, Kickawa. Arthur Conningham, Trooper, but later a Captain in the Royal Flying Corps. And he won the DSO, the DFC, the AFC, the Military Cross, the Croix de Guerre from France and the Croix de Guerre from Belgium and a whole lot more, and stayed in the forces and became an Air Marshal in World War II in charge of the Royal Air Force Training Command. Quite a man, and he was from the Top House area. Lou Mead, Private, Motor Pico, Boer War. Joe Mead, Farrier Major, Takaka, Boer War. They were brothers. Melville Mead, Trooper, Kariri. Bob Mead, Trooper, Nelson, died of influenza and pneumonia. Guy Nalder, Corporal, Rainy River, died of wounds. Ken Paul, Trooper, Kariri. Jack Tomlinson, Trooper, Top House. Charles Wilkinson, Saddler, Top House, Boer War. Jim Wren, Trooper, Top House. Now the ones from the other valleys. Blake Batchelor, Corporal, Motuoka, died of wounds. William Bellworthy, Trooper, Wangapeka, killed in action. Gilbert Biggs, Private, Tadmore. Howard Biggs, Farrier Trooper, Ngatamoti. Robert Carter, Trooper, Veterinary Corps, Tapawera. Darcy Chater, Lieutenant Colonel in charge of New Zealand troops in Egypt. And he had a CMG, a CBE, and mentioned in dispatches. Walter Clifford, a trooper from Tadmore. Jack Crimp, Warrant Officer, Tapawera. Vince Davey, Sergeant, Tadmore, Distinguished Conduct Medal. Tommy Denton, Captain Blenheim, trained airman and mentioned in dispatches. Bert Duncan, Lance Corporal, Kiwi. Jack Hannon, Trooper, Tadmore, killed in action. Frank Hanron, Sergeant Major, Stanley Brook. Gerald Hanron, Trooper, Stanley Brook. Ken Humphreys, Trooper, Dovedale. Alex Ingram, Staff Sergeant Farrier, Motuoka. Melville Ennis Jones, Sergeant Major, Taowa Mutu. Frank Kidson, Trooper, Tapawera, died of wound. Russell McMahon, Lieutenant from Tapawera, died of influenza and pneumonia in Trentham before he went overseas, and he was the son of the man who owned the farm where the Tapawera camp was. John McCallum, Captain in the Camel Corps, so there's a step up. Motuoka, died of wounds. Cyril McCusker, Trooper, Molesworth. Bert Peerless, Sergeant, Wakefield. Fred Savage, Trooper, Waiheke, and Top House after the war. Bert Steer, Trooper, the Baton, but from Tapawera. Tom Templeton, Private, Hokianga, but in the top of the South area after the war as a well-known stock buyer and drover, and he won the military medal. And Joe Thomas, Farrier Sergeant, Mounted Rifles Machine Gun Squadron from Tadmore. Now,